with a live audience here in Bolton. It's time for Barrage the Farage. Let's kick off. The first questioner is Jason.
Good evening, Nigel. Welcome to Lancashire.
Thank you.
I didn't say Greater Manchester, if you noticed that. So, returning to an earlier topic, why is it that deprived communities in Bolton and Blackpool and Burnley and Blackburn have to deal with big influxes of so-called asylum seekers, where we have to host them and look after them, and we're a generous people in the North West? I think you probably know that from your visits here. When the people in North London and the people in Croydon and certain footballers that I can't bring myself to say the name of don't host nearly so many.
Yeah, look, I don't think Croydon's necessarily the right example, although there are wealthy parts of it. But North London, where almost the entire Labour Party seem to live, at least their representatives, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the argument for it is that it's cheaper, the hotels are cheaper, renting houses is cheaper in areas like this than it is in Hampstead in North London. That's the rationale that the Home Office will give to you. But the truth of it is that the North West, as a region, has taken more of those that have crossed the Channel than any other region of the United Kingdom. So this has been pushed and pushed and pushed upon you. The other big problem is that most of these hotels are now part of chains. And I'm not going to name them because I'm bored by getting sued. But there are certain hotel chains. But you know, I get it. And if you've got a guaranteed full hotel for the next year, they're paying top dollar to you for doing it. The business has been contracted out to 3 big private companies. So you can see why people would take the money. But I agree with you, and it was interesting, I thought, that, you know, Martin earlier, the council leader, saying, look, we've taken a lot here in Bolton, a lot in the North West, but enough is enough. But here's the biggest problem, Jason. There's nothing the MPs or local council or you as voters can do. These decisions are taken at Home Office level, through private companies and through hotels that agree to do it. And there is, I think, a sort of feeling of senselessness and powerlessness. How angry do you think people up here are?
I'm from the Fylde Coast. Blackpool, one of the most deprived places in the country. The hotels have been filled up gradually over the years with all kinds of people who, for whatever reason, unfortunate, and the local council struggles. It struggles hard. It's a Labour council at the moment. They deal particularly with the problem they've got because they don't want to say no. But on the street, you go to Blackpool, you walk around the town that, when I was a kid, was a thriving place. People from Bolton used to go on the Wakes weeks and have a great time. Now, it's broken. Broken and
It's a huge issue, Jason.
Money transfers are the only answer, Nigel.
Yeah, well, it may be that, but I sense the protest that we've seen in Knowsley and other protests we've seen around the country. I sense this will only grow and grow. And if mainstream media just shout at concerned parents they're all far right, they are completely wrong.
It's not far right, it's normal people with
Jason,
concerns for their kids.
I get it, thank you. I get it. No. Good evening, Noel.
Good evening, Nigel. I'm shaking here. With the suggestion of bringing foreign workers in to bolster the number of tradesmen in this country, or women, would it not be better for companies to get better tax incentives to train more?
Absolutely. We've got this all wrong. Over 25 years, we've encouraged as many kids as possible to go to university. Many of those that have gone, frankly, weren't suitable for university. They would have been far better off learning trades and skills, getting jobs where they could earn really good money, actually. I mean, really good money. And yet we've sort of this snobbery. We've started to look down our noses at people learning trades and skills. Labour have got it wrong. The Tories have got it wrong. They've all got it wrong. We keep hearing about government apprenticeship schemes. None of them, frankly, it seems to me, are worth a row of beans. We've got the budget coming next week, where he's proposing to put business taxes up massively. And we don't yet know whether there'll be tax relief on reinvestment into companies. But no, I'm 100% with you. I think we've got this totally wrong. And so we have to rely on skilled workers coming in from abroad. And good for them. I'm sure they're delighted to come and get the work. But there's so many kids in this country with whacking great debts around their neck, paying 6% interest plus from university. And I'm sure that studying ologies is great fun, but I'm not sure it's actually much use.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doug, we met earlier.
Good evening, Nigel.
Good evening.
Are you happy the way our exit from the European Union is going? up to now.
No, I'm not. I mean, the deal was always be awful. The May deal was, I mean, absolutely, I mean, virtually treacherous, frankly, what she did. The Johnson deal was marginally better, but it certainly wasn't oven ready. You know, I mean, they hadn't even preheated it, as far as I'm concerned. No. We've paid way too much money. Our borders are open, but that's because of us. We haven't allowed small business to thrive in the way that we could. And the gentleman there before you, Noel, was really talking about, you know, why don't we give help to businesses, encouragement to businesses. For the Tory party, it was tick the box, win the election, and then, well, we'll worry about it later. And my fear is they're going to do the same at the next election by making some false promise about leaving the ECHR without actually meaning to deliver on it. So, look, we're out. That's good. We're self-governing. That's good. The problem is the people that are governing us believe in it and have proved themselves to be, I think, pretty incompetent. You're a businessman, Doug. You're a very successful businessman. How do you feel?
I feel that the opportunities that Brexit has given us have been blocked by the remaining establishment. They're blaming all the economic conditions on Brexit. They're blaming COVID on Brexit. The Russian invasion on Brexit. And you're thinking, no, this is the time for us all to come together and we can absolutely flourish so much because of the opportunities that Brexit is giving us.
You just need our leaders to believe in it. Doug and I met earlier. I didn't know you were going to get called. But for the audience that don't know who you are, I'm going to embarrass you now. All right?
Oh, no, great.
This is Doug Mercer, very successful businessman, entrepreneur, runs a big recycling firm called Tough Sheet. It's very tough how you pronounce that. Thought I did rather well, actually. But, importantly, Doug has just signed a 5-year deal with Bolton Wanderers Football Club to be the biggest sponsor of their stadium. Indeed, the stadium is going to be renamed after your company, Doug.
Yes, but I'll let you
well
say...
Well done, you. Thank you. Martha. He's gone all red.
Hello, Nigel.
Hello.
Welcome to Bolton.
Thank you.
What advice would you give people who share the same... I can't read it, I've not got glasses on. The same opinions as yourself, but get called racist and far right?
Yeah, do you know what, Martha? I get so many letters and emails from people at students, people at school, who are standing up and saying perfectly reasonable things, and yet are being decried by lecturers, professors, teachers, almost like the rest of the class is encouraged to sort of shout hate at people for daring to express support for Brexit or border controls or whatever it may be. My only advice to young people is, unto thine own self be true. You know, you may in the short term be doing yourself some damage by not telling the world how you really feel and how you really think, but longer term, you know, if you're a person not being true to themselves, I think that's going to give you an even worse feeling inside. Okay. So it's very difficult. It means people have to be brave. And it isn't just, of course, in education, corporate companies too. And perhaps it's even worse in big corporate companies. We only overturn this stuff through courage. And courage means the silent majority, and there is still in this country a silent majority for common sense. The silent majority must speak. It's the best advice I can give.
Brilliant.
And finally, Scott.
Hi, good evening, Nigel.
Hello, Scott.
Now, I believe you like a pint.
It's been alleged,
now,
yes.
I've been in the hospitality industry for over 40 years as a business owner, as a chef. I've worked for large corporates, and it's the worst I've ever seen it in that 40 years. With rising costs, we all know about utilities, there's a labour shortage. Do you think there's a hidden agenda with the government on drinking and stuff like that? But also, what do you think the government should do next week in the budget to help our industry, but also smaller businesses?
Yeah, look, I mean, the pubs are having a desperate time. This club, by the way, is doing rather well, and it's nice to be in a place that on the 31st of January 2020 had a massive Brexit party, as they did here. So drinking out is very expensive. Drinking at home is relatively inexpensive. Lockdown has changed the social habits of many people. We've become much more self-contained, much less part of our communities. The costs for pubs, etc., are completely and utterly through the roof. The government needs to try to help, you know, the hospitality sector. Otherwise, it won't just be pubs. There'll be whole chains of restaurants closing right across this country. It is desperate. The one thing they can do is to reduce the very, very heavy taxes that we pay on beer and wine and spirits. They are through the roof, and in the end, they're going to be counterproductive. Scott, it's tough. No magic wand, but something must be done. The Great British Pub
will be gone.
Is going to disappear,
yeah.
And it's that worrying.
And restaurants, yeah.
And restaurants. Thank you very much indeed.